what do you think is the hardest challenge of following Jesus today? Like in 2022, why is it difficult to really follow Jesus?
Distractions.
Okay.
So many distractions nowadays. Of course, I came up in a different time where we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, come on, I'm dating myself. We didn't have the internet, right? And I just think, even for me living in this context, it's distractions.
Yeah.
There's so many different distractions. Again, electronic devices. We have access to news 24/7, which, me personally, I don't think that's healthy for us. I don't think we were made to consume all the stuff that we're consuming on a regular basis. All right? And for me, I'm personally convicted about that. And so I just think the toughest thing is distraction. We have friends in our ear. Right? We have people who don't like us, in our ear or on our social media. And so there's distraction all over the place. People who don't agree with what we believe in, and telling us we're wrong for believing in what we're believing in and challenging us. And so I just think the biggest thing is distraction. Yeah.
So then, knowing that, how do you, as a spiritual leader, personally, and then as a leader, help lead your people knowing that fact?
Yeah.
What do we do about that? I mean, because I understand the irony is that we're on a podcast that someone's probably listening to on their phone. As they're driving or whatever. So
and in that, let me be clear that I do believe our electronic devices can be healthy for us, right? If used in a healthy way. All right. And so this podcast is healthy for people to listen to. It's good, hopefully, good, godly, biblical,
Sure.
It's founded in biblical truth, And so, the biggest thing I believe that I try to do is get away and be still. You hear it a lot again, Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I'm God. And a lot of times we don't practice that though. And so for me, it's early in the morning.
Okay.
It's early in the morning. I'm an early riser. And so that's the time where I can get along with God. I love the early morning because nobody's stirring around. Very little things are happening outside. You can hear the birds chirping and all that stuff. And it's a great time to spend alone with God and to do my best to set my heart and my mind on Him.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I try to share with the people at our church, as well. We have these things, we call it rhythm of life, the way we do life with each other. And one of our rhythms is Sabbath, is rest. And so one of our habits is when there's a fifth Sunday in the month, we don't do church. I encourage them to rest. And so that's unconventional for some, but we tell them to rest because we get burnt out. We do so much stuff, right? I'm guilty. I'm doing so much stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pastoring the church. I'm working at Liberty. I'm being a father. I'm being a husband. You do so many things, and you can get burned out on it. And so we try to, on that fifth Sunday, we try to say, hey, look, we want you to intentionally rest.
Yeah.
Right? Hang out with your family, of course. Most importantly, hang out with the Lord, right? But rest. And so we try to live that out. Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It's a theme that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
We just did an episode, which will be out by the time this is out, with Davey Blackburn of Nothing Is Wasted Ministries, and he just talked about Sabbath and practicing Sabbath as a family, and how it fights against what the culture would feed us, and like specifically this idea of distraction and busyness and striving and all this stuff. So, do you find, as you're leading your church to practice stillness, to practice Sabbath, how do they receive that? Is that a struggle? Like, do they
Yeah.
Just how do they receive
Yeah,
that?
it definitely is a struggle. It's a struggle for me too.
Yeah.
As I'm preaching it, it's also convicting me because it does go against the culture. And I say it a lot of times here recently at our church, and actually this past week I preached on Hebrews chapter 4, which the theme of chapter 4 is rest, right? Like there's a present rest, but then there's a future rest, right? And so and I talked about we're defined by our busyness when we should be known for our rest. Right, and so it's tough to practice that, but it's important. It's important. I'm trying to learn in my own personal life, trying to learn how to take my time. Right, how to slow down because the world tells you gotta go. It's like it's 24/7. You gotta grind, right? No days off, right? No days off, right? And that is so far away from God, right? God said, "Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy." Right? And then Jesus says, like, Sabbath is not made for man, but man for the Sabbath. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Saturday or Sunday, but you must Sabbath. And it's one of the things that's been held down throughout time, Sabbath, but we don't do it. We even, of course, I came up in a time where I can remember stores being closed on Sundays. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
When I think about it,
not just Chick-fil-A.
No, not just Chick-fil-A. like if you didn't get it on Saturday, you won't get it on Sunday. Like stores were like things were closed, and I can remember. Man, really dating myself. I can remember the TV going off at a certain time at night. They'd play the national anthem, and then everything would go off the TV.
Wow.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
It's like literally, I didn't know this.
Yeah. Now everything is 24/7.
Yeah.
Everything is 24/7. Yeah. So I'm much older.
So usually we've had different guests talk about different like spiritual disciplines and rhythms, as you mentioned. In fact, we had a whole series of spiritual rhythms, which is pretty cool. Yeah. One of the things we did when we would have guests is we would have them talk about what it looked like practically for them. Not so that people would copy it, but so that people could. Sometimes people just need to like see it, almost like just tell me how this looks. What does it look like? What do you do? So if you could even get down to some of the more specifics on how you practice Sabbath, or how you practice like early morning stillness. What does it look like? What do you experience? That kind of stuff, just to help people have a more tangible or tactile perspective.
Yeah. For me, without going into a whole lot of details about this, it starts in the shower. Oh, yeah. Like seeking the Lord and praying. And then, once I'm all settled and I'm able to get down to, in our home, I have a specific place where I like to go, I like to go and sit. Yeah. I am also I like to journal. I like to write. And so I keep a journal with me.
What does that do for you?
Yeah, man, it helps me to write down what I feel like the Lord is speaking to me in this season of life. It also helps me to look back and see what the Lord has done. How He's moved, how He's answered. And so and it's one of my ways of communicating with the Father. Wow. And so that, and then of course, I like to pray a psalm during the morning, something that I've picked up on here recently. And so as I'm reading through the Psalms, I'll try to pray through the Psalm as well. And then, of course, my typical, I may have a section of Scripture that I'm already studying, and so I'll look at that as well and make notes as well. And so, and then throughout the day, I try to live with it throughout the day. It's like, how does this play out in my life? And so that's what I try to do. It doesn't always happen that smoothly, every morning, but so that's how I try to practice that silence and that solitude.
Yeah. How about Sabbath? Like how do you rest? practically.
Yeah. And that one is a one for me. That's a, I'm working on.
Sure,
I'm asking the Lord, Lord help me to be better about this.
That will help people a lot
because I learned I don't rest well.
Yeah. But people want to hear, like, if someone like says, oh, I do it perfectly. And they're like, well, I can't attain that. Like, there's no way I can get there. So like, even you talking about, hey, here's how I struggle with it. Here's how I win or lose with it. I think it helps people. So
thank you. Well, like I said, I learned that I don't rest well. I can sit at home for a little while and think, man, I got to get out of this house. Like, I got to go somewhere. I got to do something. Right. Even if it's just ride up the street and, come back. And so I don't do it well, but I've tried to, especially going into the weekend, a Friday evening or something into Saturday, I do try to intentionally get away from some things, turn the phone off, or just put the phone in another room or something like that. And so I do try to make sure I'm spending time and paying attention to my family. Amen.
Right? So like you're present. Right? You're present.
Yeah. Not when they ask me a question like, huh, what'd you say? Like, that I actually hear them ask the question.
That was a little too close to home.
I do it often. That's why I can say it. I do it often. And so I try to do some of those things. Also, with that, for me, Sabbath, I love sports, right? And so, some people might say, well, that's Sabbath really, but, going to a sporting event, for me, it's rest for me. Yeah. And, some people think, well, you're just doing something else. But for me, when I go, it's like, man, this is good, and so it is restful for me. So those are a few things, that I try to do.